You want me to go into your cameras? Madam Speaker, may I please have protection from these photographs?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reverend Mbuyiselo Stemela. I am the Stakeholder Manager in Communications for the Section 89 panel. I'll be co-facilitating this ceremonial handing over of the Section 89 panel. I would like to greet and welcome the Chairperson of the Section 89 panel, Honorable Chief Justice, the retired Justice Ngobo, Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Mama Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, Secretary to Parliament, Mr. Kolele George, NCOP Chair, Mr. Amos Masondo, leaders of political parties, chief whips, members of Parliament, media present, and those joining us on our virtual platform. The session for this morning is a ceremonial handover of the Section 89 panel report by the Chairperson of the Section 89 panel, Justice Ngobo, to the Honorable Speaker Nqakula. Just for housekeeping rules, our program is brief and follows. I'll call upon the Chief Justice to make remarks, and then thereafter the Chief Justice will do a ceremonial handover to the Speaker and to the Secretary, and then thereafter Mr. Moloto will come and introduce the Speaker of Parliament, who will also make remarks, and then thereafter we will have one round of media engagement, those virtually and those present inside the venue. And without further ado, I will call upon the former Chief Justice Sandile Ngobo, who chairs the Section 89 panel, to make his own opening remarks. Over to you, Honorable Chief Justice.
Good morning, everyone. Program directors, please allow me to stand on the existing protocol. Madam Speaker, I have struggled to find measured words to thank you for me being here to hand over the report. But more importantly, I want to thank you, Madam Speaker, for ensuring that we had all the necessary documents in time. And perhaps more importantly, though, when it became patently clear that we were not going to be able to meet the deadline, we approached you and you indulged. Thank you for that. And thank you for entrusting this dreadfully important task on us. Because we worked until the very last minute, I never had the opportunity to thank my colleagues and those who supported us throughout this process. With your leave, Madam Speaker, may I please recognize those individuals. First and foremost, I would like to thank members of the panel, Judge Thokozile Masipa and Advocate Selo, for their willingness to undertake this task. They made massive sacrifice, working outrageously long hours, always reminding me that it was time to break for lunch when I had forgotten. And finally, let me thank them for the sterling work they put into the preparation of this report and for their unrelenting commitment to duty. Secondly, there were a lot of administrative and logistical support that we required. That support could not have been possible but for the following individuals. Reverend Stemela, always have the man of the cloth around you. Fini Vivius, Ayanda Ngobo, Warrant Officer Hlongwane, Sergeant Rampele. They made sure that the administrative and logistical support requires were always available. They made huge sacrifices, working unbearable long hours. And may I also thank the parties, that is, the members of the African Transformation Movement, the Economic Freedom Front, fighters. I thought I would neutralize the word. Anyway, and the United Democratic Movement and the President for the contributions that they made in ensuring that we had the necessary information. In particular, I would like to thank them for submitting the information to us in time, despite the extremely tight schedule within which they had to produce this material. And ironically, it is precisely this information which made it impossible for us to meet the required deadline. And I would like to thank the Secretary to Parliament, who I've just met, the Office of the Secretary to the National Assembly for ensuring that always, within the extremely limited budget they had, at least we could find a shelter from time to time from which to work from. there has been a lot of anxiety, understandably so, from the people of South Africa. I would like to thank them for their patience and for allowing us the necessary space to do our work without any interruption. And then finally, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to our families for their unconditional support and love. This process taxed their patience to the ultimate limits that human endurance could ever tolerate. Madam Speaker, with those few words, may I take this opportunity to hand to you the report. Let me explain to you how the report is. The report consists of 3 volumes. The first volume, volume 1, is the report itself. Volume 2 and 3 is the record of the proceedings, which contains every single document on which we relied in order to prepare this report. In addition to that, we've made available to the Speaker the electronic version of that report. There is just one matter which I really need to respond to, because it stems from a perception. I don't normally respond to what appears on television or the media, because it's not my job to do that. But I do want to make this clear. Someone went on television and said, if this panel does not call the Hawks or call what, it would not have done its job. Let me make it quite clear and firmly, that's not our job. Our job was to interrogate the information that members of the Assembly saw fit to present to us. That's what the rules made by the National Assembly told and required us to do. We could not go beyond that. It's not in my blood to disregard the law. I live by the law, and that's what I have to do. So let me clear that perception once and for all. It was not our job to call whoever you wanted us to call to help us here. The rules that you made it quite clear, and that's what these volumes are based upon. Thank you. Madam Speaker.
Call upon the Secretary to receive for processing with the electronic version. Thank you. I now call upon Mr. Miloto to take the podium.
Thank you very much, my colleague, Reverend Stimela, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the National Council of Provinces Chairperson, retired Chief Justice, leadership and the Chief Whips of political parties, presiding officers, members of the media. Thank you very much, all protocols observed. Without any waste of time, I'm going to invite the Speaker of the National Assembly to give her own remarks, having received the report of the independent panel. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Chairperson Anindiboni. Chairperson of the independent panel, former Chief Justice Ngcobo. Chairperson of the NCOP, Honorable Masondo. Leaders and whips of political parties and members of parliament present, Program Director, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Thank you very much. The ceremonial handover of the report of the Section 89 Independent Panel marks one of the indicative milestones in South Africa's maturing constitutional democracy. It is necessary to restate the mandate of this panel, namely to consider a preliminary inquiry relating to a motion proposing a Section 89 inquiry and make a recommendation to the Speaker whether sufficient evidence exists to show that the President committed a serious violation of the Constitution or law or committed a serious misconduct. Those were the terms of reference of the commission, of the panel. As we know, on Tuesday, the 14th of June, 2022, the African Transformation Movement submitted to the Speaker of the National Assembly a motion requesting the House to initiate an inquiry into the removal of the President of the Republic on specific charges. Initially, I declined the motion, and this was not compliant with the plausible rules of the National Assembly. Accordingly, the Rules 129B in particular also provide for an engagement between the Speaker and the motion sponsor on such matters when the motion is non-compliant. After further engagements, the ATM submitted an amended version of the motion that was now on the 18th of July 2022, which was found to be in order. In line with the applicable rules, I referred the submission with supporting documents to the independent panel, which I appointed after nominations by political parties. Indeed, the involvement of political parties in the constitution of the panel forms an essential element of checks and balances to jealously guard its independence, to remove any perception of bias, so that the integrity of its outcome is not brought into question. About 13 days ago, the panel conducted an assessment whether it would complete its work within the 30-day period which was imposed by the rules, and felt that if granted few more days, it would do justice to its mandate. Now, using the relevant provisions in the rules, I accordingly granted the extension, once again to safeguard the quality, credibility, and integrity of the process. With the handing over of this report, the life of the panel has accordingly come to an end. Allow me, therefore, the opportunity to extend and express our gratitude and appreciation to the panel, consisting of retired Chief Justice Sandile Ngcobo, who led the team as chairperson, retired Judge Thokozile Masipa, and Advocate Mahlape Sillo for their professionalism in executing the mandate given to them. The report will be communicated to members of Parliament through the next publication of the announcements, tablings, and committee reports tonight. We have set aside the 6th of December for consideration of the report by the National Assembly. The role of the National Assembly pertaining to this report is articulated in the rules. The House will consider the report, its findings and recommendations, and adopt a resolution through a simple majority vote, whether a further action by the House is necessary or not. I thank you, honorable members, and I hope that it clarifies the process. We will now, from now onwards, I've received the report as you have seen. here in public as requested by the judge. I will now, remember, it is not my report. I will not study the report. I will take the report, work with the team to ensure that the report appears in the ATC tonight. I thank you all, honorable members, for the respect you have given us by being present at this handover ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Speaker of the National Assembly, retired Chief Justice, Secretary to Parliament. As agreed, we are going to take just one round of questions, and then we will close this ceremony. As you would have seen, I think it's important to emphasize that there is nothing that was done on the background or anywhere that was far from your eyes. The Speaker has just literally received the report in front of you, and she has not studied it. So she will not even be able to deal with the content of the report. So questions should be about the procedure, how Parliament will deal with the report from now on. So there are roving mics. There are also mics. Some seats have got mics. So if we can take that one and only round, and the panel will deal with them, and then we close. Any questions? You will be the first. And then another question? Any other hand? There are also colleagues on virtual platform. So we ask that you just deposit your questions on the chat, and then they will be brought to my attention so that they are also raised here. Mercedes, I see you'll be the second. Okay, there's no any further hand from the physical. Okay, and this way. 3 hands from here. And then are there any other questions from the virtual platform? Okay, not yet. So, yeah, those 3 questions. Okay, 4 questions with Ebra. Okay, the first one. Yeah, go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning. Paul Becker on Bloomberg. Firstly, Madam Speaker, will the political parties represent the of the report before it's been completed? And secondly, is there no way of releasing it earlier? Because there is a single pocket cut.
Thank you very much, Paul. There are other mics here which are working.
Take this one. You can come now. Hello? Yeah. Okay, just hold it. Okay, to Chief Justice, retired Chief Justice, the first question would be, how would you rate your impartiality of the panel and yourselves as individuals? We know perceptions are there and you cannot do anything about perceptions. When you were doing your work, how would you rate yourselves in terms of impartiality, working through the assessment without fear, favor, or prejudice, as the rule requires in 129? And Speaker, you raised something very important about this milestone, and you are saying that this was just a preliminary assessment. I can hear you, even the Chief Justice, saying it was a preliminary assessment, wanting to say it sticks here with Parliament. But you know that this report, Speaker, in terms of Rule 129.0, any recommendation by the panel or even the Section 89 committee is not binding and final and binding on the Assembly. And yet we say this was a milestone. So what it means is that even if the panel comes and says there is a prima facie